Welcome to Sometimes You Have to Lose Yourself, a podcast where we explore the complexities of love, loss, and self-discovery. Join Charlie Perry and Marvin Speller when life's unexpected twists and turns come our way. It's easy to lose ourselves in the process, but what if losing ourselves is exactly what we need to find our true selves? Join us as we dive into the depths of human experience, sharing stories, insights, and conversations that will challenge, inspire, and maybe even help you find your way again. Sometimes you have to lose yourself. Let's get started.
Hey. Love that intro. It just makes my day, gets me started, and gets us started.
Mhm.
Sometimes you have to lose yourself, and
Sometimes you do, for sure.
I, I didn't realize those lyrics were pretty cool, man.
Why do you think I like to hear it all
Yeah,
the time?
it's uh,
you know?
it's a good thing, man. So today was a interesting day. I was trying to plug this wire in. I was doing my routine, driving my kids to school,
Right.
and one of the kids, it was her birthday. So
Mm,
and so instead of bringing a big old cake on the bus, I get the muffins
okay.
and from Honeydew, thanks to my
Nice.
good friend Walter,
Okay.
and um and that's how we celebrate each kid's birthday. And so I'm gonna miss some of them because their birthdays are in the summer.
Right.
But you know what? I just like to do that. And
So, are we going to do our book signing there?
um, here, yeah, if you want,
I mean, honeydew.
honeydew, we can. That's easy.
I'll let
There's
you, I'll let you figure it out, my brother.
yeah. I think the best spot would probably be the um the Lighthouse Tavern where my son-in-law works,
Okay.
and he's the manager, and has some
Okay.
great food and
Cool.
some drink and nice little place. The owners there are pretty cool to me, and I think that would be a good spot. You know.
Okay. So, I'm probably going to be probably the first week in May.
Okay.
Because believe it or not, we're in March now.
Yeah. It went kind of quick, man.
You think?
Yeah,
Yeah, you think?
I mean, we were talking about the holidays and Super Bowls and
It
uh,
seemed like it seemed like Christmas was yesterday.
yeah,
You know,
exactly.
yeah, it seemed like it was yesterday. So, um, yeah. So, really, you have no idea how excited I am to get out there.
Mm,
You
yeah,
know,
it's I can't wait. You get to see the new grandchild, which she'll be born in April.
hmm
So you know, but I know that people are gonna be tugging and grabbing at you when you're down there. So I'll try to just give me a day, man. Just give
yeah,
me and my family a day for you. And
absolutely, man, absolutely.
the so Tuesday was a great podcast. Had a good friend of mine on, doing great things with kids. I love things that are involving kids. It's real special to me that when adults take time to dedicate, their professional lives to kids, and
I love to hear that. I was talking to someone the other day, I forget who I was talking to, and I was like, you think about this thing of feeling joy and being joyous. I said, drive by a school when they're outside playing and just tell me what you feel.
Mm.
Like that makes all the difference in the world. Um, Kids, a lot of times they just get it. A lot of times you get to be an adult and you get all that filth you had in your life, and you get kind of hooked up into things, right? And so
Hmm.
kids, they just bring that energy and that joy that we lose sometimes. So yeah, please share about it. I mean, how was that? So she does things with children.
Yeah, mainly I think it's 17.
Hmm.
No, no, it's got to be older because she tries to keep high school kids prepared for college. So, but I think the youngest is 7. I think. Anyway, she does is she mentors them and kind of wants them, wants folks to keep an eye on people's mental, you know, stability and making sure that because there's a lot of pressure with athletes. They have so
Yeah.
many pressures, and we don't understand that. Only another athlete will understand what kids are going through,
Hmm.
and sometimes there's outside pressure from non-athletes, that don't understand that. I never seen an athlete that wants to lose, right? Nobody
Absolutely.
wants to lose a game, and
Yeah.
so when young minds are having that mental growth, and they may not understand, they may be putting a whole lot of stress on themselves. So what she does is tries to develop them to adapt to things like the pressures, and know when you're kind of getting weak, or something's bothering you. She produced an app where the
Hmm.
kids can, especially if they're by themselves and they need to focus on something. One of the
Hmm.
key words she used during the podcast was reframe. So I
Mm.
went crazy. I was so happy with that. It's
That's their
yep,
word, man.
yeah, yeah. She was.
That's their word. It's funny because you talk about sports and all that. Every time we got a podcast on, you always got a New England Patriots jersey on.
I
So
do.
so
Well,
about the sports thing, right?
yeah, and and mainly the primary reason is because the podcast they do in the morning.
Hmm.
The other co-host is Chops Turner. He's a 49ers fan. So he
Um,
always brings his gear. He's always wearing his gear. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna wear mine too. What's up, Michael? How you doing?
what's up,
Um,
Michael? How you doing, my brother?
so
So
that's mainly the reason. It just so happens that our podcast is on the same day. So
right.
I'm gonna most likely have it on because of
No, I'm just
he
giving you a hard time, brother. I'm just
yeah,
kidding.
he represents, so I gotta make sure that I up him one, and but
Yeah,
we give him a hard time.
yeah, you should, right? So
So
that's great that what's her name that she does this?
Dr. Heather Larkin,
Okay,
Larkin. Yep.
is she a therapist,
She's a
psychologist?
mental counsel,
Okay.
and she has a PhD in education, and
Mm-hmm.
I believe his title is a mental counselor. And
Oh, I love that, man.
let me see. Wait, I know what. There's one thing I always put notes on podcast, and well, I didn't save it. I got rid of it. So, but her website
Kudos,
is it's the
kudos.
say that again, Marvin.
I said kudos to her. I mean,
Yeah.
these are the type of people that should be on like the 5 o'clock news. These are the
Mm-hmm.
people that
Yeah.
when you pop up in the newspaper, she should be there. And really, because you talk about this mental health thing, we talked about that for almost a year. How
So
important it is to make sure your mental health is in a good place.
exactly. Um, that's one of her phrases right there from her website, and it says, "What is the all in mindset? You know, being all in, and what do you benefit from it?" And we talked about that. So,
Right.
but she's just, she's been like that for a long time, and even when she was a younger administrator and for special education students, and she was definitely on point with them, making sure that um, she was a strong advocate for the district and for the children at the same time, which is sometimes it differs. You know, um, and on an administrative level, they may want you to push in a certain direction,
Of
and
course.
then you may be kind of shortchanging a student, and which you never want to do. But at least I seen her do her thing for many many years when it came to the s- special education students.
That's great. She should be commended.
Oh, she definitely is, and I just think that well, it was New Bedford's loss, and she went to another district,
How come we
and
never
then
talk about her on this podcast, man?
actually we talked about yesterday how I would try to get her on the podcast for a year, and
Wow.
I just putting it off, and not putting it off, but I was like, man, I got to put her on. I got to put her on. And then finally, it worked out perfectly because um, we were scheduled to be on a few weeks ago, and for some reason, uh, I didn't get back to her, so she continued
Okay.
with her schedule, and just didn't think we were going to do a podcast a couple of weeks ago, and then we rescheduled it for yesterday, and it was perfect. It made out, it worked out perfect. It's in God's hands. God's got a path for us, and he made sure that we didn't do it 2 weeks ago, and we did it yesterday. But definitely got to connect you with her um in the website because you both are two of the same type of person. Always trying to do something for the next person, and
You know, you have to do that, brother. I mean, that now more than ever is critical.
hmm
Now more than ever, and I think sometimes you be holding these great people back from you, man. I mean, what's up with that?
I wouldn't do that. What's mine is yours, brother. Um, and
Hey, was your ear tingling on Monday?
Monday, no, why?
I'll
What
talk.
happened?
I'll talk about that in a minute, but I
Okay.
guess for today, what I was thinking about, we talked about it on our last podcast about, well, the podcast before we had Kevin on,
hmm
uh, was really the updated golden rule. And, I was thinking about this whole thing of acts of kindness,
Yeah.
right? Think about that. What if every day you set out and that was your purpose, right? And of course, it's always within reason, right? Because you don't want people to think that you're a fool or you're a sucker and all that stuff, right? By showing acts of kindness, right?
hmm
And I think about it. Sometimes if you really think about it, some people you may want to do that to, they don't deserve it.
Yeah.
If you really think about it, right? Well, that's on one level, right? But on another level, we all deserve it. And I think about when you think about, we talked about before you see somebody, before you see them, before you talk to them, before you get to them, you think about something about that person before you connect with them, right?
hmm
Imagine if you change your thinking around. I'm thinking nothing but positive and helpful and kind things to them. Would that change your perspective towards them, short term and long term? I don't know. Maybe something to think about.
Yeah.
Um, when I think about that whole acts of kindness, I pulled up this video And then we could talk about that for a few minutes, and then I'll share my big thing I wanted to talk about today.
Okay. All right. So let's go here.
So you need about a minute to pull it up.
Nope, I got it.
Okay, and then I'll share a couple other things.
All right. Awesome.
Yeah, there's some words at the end. Did you see that? Those words
What?
at the end were incredible. You had some advertisement pop up.
Oh man. Hold on. Want to do it again?
Yeah, yeah. Those words at the end were incredibly important.
Hold on.
Can you move those out the way?
Uh, it's not going off. Like it's popping up automatically. Uh, I'm sorry, Marvin.
That's okay. It really
Bad producer.
talked about. I mean, if you can help someone, why wouldn't you help someone? So, which is extremely important. And I think about that's why I started. I was like, what if you had in your mind before you talked to someone, before you faced them or something, you had a different thought in your mind,
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't any type of past dealings you dealt with them, right? Whether good, bad, or indifferent, right? Would
Exactly.
that change something there, right? So I think about that. It was funny because I'm sitting at Kristen's old desk, right? This is where
Mm-hmm.
I podcast, right? And I didn't I didn't realize this. I think I may have seen it before, but um this box was sitting here. And this box says a year of thanks,
Mm.
right? And you got all these cards inside. And it's got really what it does is reframe your thinking and your feeling. And so I pull a couple of them out. Like this one says the holiday you're most thankful for. And it goes into all the things you're thankful for. The city you live in, the simple things in life, someone who has changed your life for the better,
Mm.
the things you love about yourself. Thank 3 people you see today. Lessons you've learned this year. Thanking a really good friend. Thanking the opportunities you've been given. And this is just sitting here, man. I just
Mm.
put my drink near it so I can pull it. I can drink it every time we have a podcast. But I think about this is kind of some of the themes we talk about lately, and this is just sitting here. Again,
The
there are no
now,
coincidences in life.
yeah, true. Now, is that a manufactured, like a store bought box, or is that something you threw stuff in there?
No, this wasn't mine.
Oh wow,
Yeah, this is Kristen's old box,
man.
but it's those cards in there are cards that were pre-made.
Yep, yep, yep. Okay.
So no, I didn't put anything in there.
The
Those are
craziest
things.
thing is though you can put those words right, and they can come right off her lips, right, or your lips. Those are things you both said. So
Yeah,
you say a lot. It can easily be a quote from you and her. So that's why I was asking that. Um,
yeah. I mean, absolutely. I've said a million times. These are the things that we were so in tune with, right? And those are the things that matter so much to everybody, man. So,
mm,
um, so I thought that was ironic. I just looked down today and I saw it. I was like, well, what is this thing? I thought there was some gifts inside, but I was like, well, there is some gifts inside, but
yeah, yeah.
I didn't realize 52 reasons and ways to be thankful. Imagine if you started your day out that way, things you could
Mm,
be thankful for.
mm, yeah,
Now, that would reframe you. That would definitely reframe your thoughts.
absolutely.
So, I don't know. That's kind of what I was thinking today. Really, I was because it's like when I saw that video, I was like, wow. It's like somebody did something for somebody, and they had a chance to do something for somebody else.
Hmm.
You- I mean, imagine doing that. You did that often, and what would that do for you? Not just somebody you know or a friend. These random acts. It doesn't always have to be somebody you know.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, I mean, there was those acts created smiles afterwards. During the whole process, right?
yeah,
So that's the one thing that's probably going to be a guaranteed. Even if you're doing it to a complete stranger, still going to
yeah,
get the smile off. You know. Um,
yeah. So I
yeah.
mean, and it's. I mean, we get on here, we talk about this stuff, and these are things that people may deem as like normal everyday stuff, but these are things that can make the difference in everybody. And you going back to that word reframe, right?
Hmm.
Think about that. And how does this pertain to grief? Because I think about grief as this thing where you have these traumas and you can either go through suffering or you can continue to move forward. But there's no right or wrong way to approach grief. I've said that a million times, but at some point you start to grab onto anything that feels better when you go through a tragedy of either losing someone or losing a job or losing your house or losing something, right? Losing a relationship. I was
Yeah.
talking to someone last night and they attributed to losing a husband to high level of grief because you're losing something. So when we think about, when we talk about these things make a difference because when you go through something like that and you're never really prepared for it, right? But if you had this thing where you have these things to pull from when you go through that, these things make all the difference because you will reach for anything at some point.
Yeah.
So um, those are my thoughts for today, brother. But I want to share some important news, and I'm gonna make a post on Thursday or Friday. So I said I was going to do it, and I tried to do it with my publisher,
Hmm.
and I was going to do an audiobook, which is a part of the package I purchased. So, by the way, they're going to have to give me some more books because I'm not because I tried some audio versions of my voice.
Mm-hmm.
It was absolutely terrible.
Wow.
So what I did, um, I was like, I don't want to do this, man. I was like, it's just too much. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't do this. So I was like, okay, I got to read for a long time, and what if I stutter or stammer or something, right? So I got one of my close friends, Ron. He said, "You just come to my studio and we'll do it." So, all right, cool. So we did it in two days, where I read the entire book.
Mm-hmm.
Not only that, I added one, two, I added five additional segments. So you get this book, get this amazing book, and then you get these five extra sessions.
Nice.
So I wanted to give something extra, especially to all the people that supported me. So
Yeah,
something you can listen to while you drive.
yeah, can't wait. And it's one thing about audiobooks, it really, especially with me, driving and just don't want to always listen to that same old radio stuff,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know, and putting something like you on, it just much better for me. It's get more out of it compared to um because every radio station, believe it or not, is playing the same old stuff over and over again. Sort of, we talked about a lot of things like, you know, how they try to program you, certain things, and that's all the radio stations are doing, just playing the same old thing. You
Absolutely.
can, if I could just, if I just bet money, all right, they're gonna play this song sometime today. They'll play combination of these two, these three, and and then tomorrow I could say the same thing and guaranteed that those same songs are gonna come on. Look at Bruno Mars. He creates that song, I Just Might, and
Hmm.
and he did that, but instantly it's all over the place. And I'm saying, what about everybody else? You know, what about
Right.
those other songs?
Right.
But,
Yeah.
but they all, that's all marketing and that's what they pay for. I get it. I get it. But
Yeah. I mean, everything's about marketing, right?
that's
So,
why that's why I like internet radio because you can get so much choice, and
right.
it's awesome. Um, so continue. I'm sorry.
No, please share anytime. So yeah, added yeah, five extra tracks,
Mm.
and I added a session where we go through a lot of stuff, and so I was really excited about it. There's one last thing we need to do is add some extra music to it, background music.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to figure out. Um, we're really trying to figure out which which to put behind it on like the background. Not something that overwhelms it, but music in the background.
Mm-hmm.
Something along the lines of an alpha wave.
Yeah,
So either alpha or theta. Yeah, we'll do something like that.
I like that. I like
Yeah.
that. There's
Oh, that's great, Michael. That's great that you're gonna do that. Yeah, that's
yeah,
great.
yeah, definitely. And you know, that's one thing about you and Michael, right? You guys just not gonna be satisfied with just something that's kind of like, all right. So your publisher says, all right, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. Do it this way. You guys are not template people, right? You're not template people. You have creative minds, and someone may suggest something. All right, you're gonna use this. All right. chapters 1, 2, 3. Put it on
Right.
this part, this section, all that. You and Michael are not like that, right? You will always say, "Let me change that a little bit. Let me add to it."
Yeah.
And
And
you just did it to the. You just did it. You
I
added
just,
five more.
yeah, I said, you know, at some point I said I'm gonna do it,
Hmm.
and then I just turned my brain off and just did it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times when we have a chance to ponder on what we're going to do, somehow your brain gets in the way. And sometimes you just got to just keep moving to do it. And so, yeah, I mean, when I was reading that book, I was saying to myself, you know what? There's another book inside the book.
Of course.
Like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
could take one of the chapters and really kind of go in. Um, I could do something simple like I could get with Liz, I could get her perspective and then add my perspective and really talk about really when you think about aftermath.
Hmm.
What happened afterwards? What was
Yeah.
your life like afterwards? And I think that can be incredibly compelling. So I've already started jotting down a ton of notes and stuff like that
Hmm.
because that story is everything because there's a big giant bombshell with you know that goes along with that. And so a lot of times when people write about something is writing about the past and what the past did, right?
Hmm.
I want to talk about presently and how, I decided to get off my ass and just move forward.
Yeah.
What was
No.
the thought around that? What was going on in my mind when I decided that?
One
You know?
second here. Um, there's a good friend of mine says not sure what the topic is, but sounds interesting.
You want to put the book up, Charlie?
Yeah. Yeah.
We
I'm gonna
kind of
do
go
that.
into that all the time. So we always go into when Charlie and I got together several years ago, we spent almost a year talking about mental health. This one is we've talked a lot about grief and managing through grief and the many dynamics around it. That's where this is what we've talked about. And now I've decided to put it into audiobook. Because a lot of people are like, I'll get it going when there's an audiobook. And I
Hmm.
didn't want to read the book because you kind of relive those moments time and time again. So um, I was like, forget it. Let's give the people what the people want. So that's why I put it
Exactly.
in audio. So I'll make
Yeah.
a big giant post on that. It's like I wanted to give the people what they wanted. Um, but being that where my mindset is when I wrote this book to now,
Yep.
it's going to be extremely important to write another book. It's be extremely important because I really want this to be something where, I put a lot in there in that book about hope and where
Hmm.
you can go from there. So I kind of opened the door for people in that book. It's not about a doom and gloom and about suffering. You touch a little bit on it because I wanted to be raw and real for everybody. But now where my mind is, it's about, okay, I gave you the raw, I gave you the real. I didn't care what people thought about it was too personal and all that. I wanted to show people that, we all can come together. I wanted people to share their stories. I've seen people who've gone through grief and they've been like, even to this day, years later, they're suffering.
Hmm.
And I remember hearing this. Someone told me years ago, it's like, no matter what you believe, some people you gotta let them go. And you just can't hold on to that version of them because they're not coming back. But what can exist is their memories and honoring them by your deeds or things you can do to honor them along the way. That, in my opinion, is a whole lot. Um, I don't like to use the word healthier, but that
Mhm.
seems a little bit healthier than being broken up and torn up and suffer. And I can speak from experience on that, at least with this, because
Yeah.
I was that person. I was that person the first year. I was like, you know what? Suffer away.
Mm.
I look at myself in the mirror. I'm like, well, who the hell is that person? So that's why it was so important just to drop the audiobook. And some people say, you know, you got a great voice to put it on audio. I didn't think I did. Some people
Second that.
said it. Some people
Yeah,
said
you
that.
do.
I was like, okay, let's just give it to them.
You
So
do.
well, I
And
appreciate.
and um right off, I mean, I knew that from years ago, but I know it firsthand because I was listening to you on the podcast, and especially coming from the car or maybe one of the speakers in the home or something. You do have that voice for audiobooks, and the one thing I guarantee, you would be an awesome keynote speaker, you know.
No,
And I
thank you.
know you're speaking at different events and different groups that you're involved in, but there's no doubt in my mind that Marvin David Speller could be a keynote speaker,
So here we go.
traveling around.
We can do it together. TED Talk, TED Talk, TED
Yeah.
Talk. You know, someone sent me an application for that.
Oh, you should, man.
Yeah, so
That's you should. Um, it,
it'd be great 6 months from now. My life is even going to change even more.
mhm.
So, it's just it's great. It's you know, I can say it's you never not miss someone who was great for you is not in life.
Mhm.
But just it's so many things that like for me, I love so much deeper now with just about everything.
Yeah.
And that is a beautiful place to be at, man. And just the love for people and things. And it's funny. When I was reading the audiobook, I was really feeling that love in my heart, right? And my brother, his dog came and sat on my foot while I was
Mhm.
reading the second part.
Mm,
He sat on my foot the whole time.
that's nice.
He just wouldn't leave, and I was like, okay, well, maybe I'm doing something right? So, yeah, and I put this. I'll share this one thing I added in there. I added in a couple guided meditations.
Hmm.
So I slow it down a little bit, and I get people really enthralled with that. Really put into these guided meditations because you wanted to get people just to calm and feel a certain way. So I added a couple guided meditations, and you know what I may do? I may go back when I see him on Monday. I may just do a series of guided meditations and put them on there. Probably just give them away. Um,
Love it.
just just try to help people out, man. Um,
Don't forget, we need you to be creative on TikTok too. So,
yeah,
you can save those things to do it on there. I just, especially that creative network that I'm involved in.
yeah. I need to get going with that. I really
Yeah,
do. But
me too.
I wanted to get this out the way. Some other things I'm
Hmm.
doing. But yeah, man, it was wonderful. Once I got once I got to day two on Monday, it was a whole lot easier. The first day, the Monday before that, it was a lot of I I had to redo a lot of parts over.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, he's an engineer, so he knows what to do. But yeah, it wasn't the third, fourth, fifth chapter was challenging.
Yeah.
Of course, the I wanted to do the first chapter because I really wanted to represent it well, and I think initially I did it very well. You'll see. Um, but
Can't
yeah,
wait.
it was very. I was very tired by the time I got home. Yeah, I had a hard time staying awake. So last time I left about six something. Got there by
Mm-hmm.
11, about like six something. On Monday, I was there till like 9:30. I got there about 10:30, 11. We just went all day.
Tell me, son, was this the same studio where you met Kristen?
Oh no, but it's the
Oh, okay.
same guy who is the same guy who I went to the studio because he was there.
Mm,
So I
yep.
met him at the studio where I met Kristen the next day.
All right.
Known him. I've known him 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
Good dude, man. You know what I like about him?
What's that?
He breaks a lot of the societal norms where men is supposed to be super hard and on this brother hard. This brother was he was in the Marines and you know
Mm-hmm.
grew up in East LA.
Yeah.
So he wanted them around the way dudes. So um yeah, but he's got this thing where pours his heart out to the women he meets, and he's a really good guy. He's got a lot of emotional maturity,
Mm-hmm.
which isn't always celebrated this day and time. You'll hear other things like toxic masculinity and all that crap,
Yeah. Yeah.
where these people are constantly trying to effeminate men. This guy gets it, and this is why we connect so much because he understands this thing of bringing that emotional maturity, and I really really appreciate them. And I can point out to everybody who I'm close to, and it's something around. There's something they do that is amazing. And right before I got to the end, before I added those tracks, I added the acknowledgments in there. I have really had a chance to embellish that. I really
Mm.
embellish my acknowledgement because I really want to just show people how much I love them, how much I love the world, and you know, yeah. And so I remember I talked a lot about you, and that's why I said, was your ear was your ear itching? So, um,
I
the whole
appreciate that.
thing, yeah, the whole thing of we became so close over the years, just great dude, and you was Kristen's cousin, and just been there. So it was great. It was great to share again outside of a pen and paper and writing a
Mm-hmm.
book. Just share live my appreciation for the people around me. I mean, you guys don't realize I got to a point. It wasn't until when I talk about this, it wasn't until December of 2023, 3 months after Kristen passed, where I had to make that choice. It's like,
Yeah.
dude, are you gonna make it or not? I
Mm-hmm.
had to make that choice. Paul, you're exactly right.
Yeah.
And men have a tough time expressing themselves because men either get made fun of or they're put down, or there's a whole bunch of crap that goes into that. But you that is a version of masculine, whether you get to show your emotions in a certain way, and that's appreciated. That true. That is masculinity.
Yeah. Yep.
Now,
The
oh, go ahead.
um yeah, Paul, he his grief was with his mom and dad still. His dad passed a few years ago,
Sorry about that, Paul.
but his mom is, she was that queen,
No,
and
it's it's
so,
um it's challenging for people. I haven't lost my mother, so I don't know what it'd be like.
hmm
It's interesting because it's like I got to that point where I was like, I could hear this voice in the back of my head where people were like, "Well, aren't you sharing too much by writing a book and showing you being vulnerable?" And I was like, I don't, I don't give a damn.
no,
Somebody's going to hear this and they're going to appreciate the fact that I came forward so
yeah,
they can come forward to lift that burden off their chest.
I, I agree. It's
So,
yeah, I think it's worse for me to hold something in.
yeah,
If I,
because you can blow up.
yeah, it's definitely not in my. It's definitely not good for me to hold anything in.
Hmm.
And that's my own personal experience. I just don't. I can't because it could trigger an explosion. And I don't want that. Um, Paul says it helps. It helps others. Absolutely, yeah, true. Expressing yourself and being organic. And I I don't like when people use that word and then they don't give its right definition, or they're not. We got a theory without practicing it, saying organic. I'm on organic. No, you're not. Because you're not. You got to reach real deep. You got to be real deep and sincere about some things that you're doing or saying, or even uh just passing on to others. I just don't. I When I say organic, man, it means just what you're saying, letting things go, letting it out,
Let it,
releasing it,
let
so
it,
it can
let it go.
actually inspire other people.
When I was at Kristen's celebration of life, um, had I been there now, I would have felt more comfortable
Mm,
showing emotion.
yeah.
I mean, I had no emotions that day. I was literally numb,
hmm
and
Yeah.
so you think about that, right? So, um, yeah, I mean, sometimes you just gotta let it go. I mean, you know, there are a lot of times where I'm driving in the morning, 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm like there just bawling my eyes out. It could be something that touched me, and
hmm
this. It's like, and I think about something that's done for someone that needed that help. I could, man, I could drop a tear off of that. And it's like because I feel so deeply now.
How do you? I mean, How do you do listen to her music? How do you deal with that? Where does it put you?
Oh, it puts me in a great place, man.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Because what the music meant,
Mm,
yeah, what the music meant, and it helps people.
yeah.
So that's what it was about. It was about helping people. So there's nothing that I would say that causes me to like, okay, I'm like being broken up a second. I think about, I mean, I still have our shrine here.
hmm
I just think these things are part of my life. I was talking to a social worker yesterday, and she's running down all these questions about, I guess, in her mind to see if I was somebody who could move forward from that.
hmm
And I was locked up with that because I was like, I spent a lot of time through therapy, talking about it, wrote a book, podcasting, doing a lot of things to continue to be at a place where you could do other things in life. But you know what popped in my head? One of the first things that popped in my mind?
What's that?
I don't have a damn thing to prove to anybody. And I don't need to
Yeah.
prove to nobody whether I'm good enough to see others. I don't have nothing to prove to anybody, man. I don't. And that to me is a huge jump and a huge hurdle I've crossed, because it's like,
hmm
I don't have to be like, okay, well, I did this many weeks of therapy. I've done this, and I've done this, and gosh darn, I'm ready to do it now. It doesn't work that way.
Hmm.
It works that way when I decide to do something, not by someone else's approval or check mark and all. That's a bunch of crap.
Yeah.
It really is. And I think so many people are caught up into the world's paradigm. Can you put that book back up again?
Yeah. Sure. Christine, we seen your comment. She says, I recently learned about an organization that does a 13-week program called griefshare.org, virtual and in person across the country. Good. That's I'm happy you shared that. It means a
Thank
lot.
you so much for sharing that.
Yeah. Um, Thanks for joining us. First time I seen Christine's name on the comment section. I appreciate you.
Pleased to meet you.
Yeah. Let's see. All right. There we go.
So look at that title. This wasn't just a book about a man broken into 1,000 pieces and he's suffering and he doesn't know where to go. And so I wrote this because I was in pain, and so I knew there was a greater part of me that was about trying to help people. But I also wanted to debunk a lot of stuff, man.
Hmm.
See the title, Unpacking Grief? Unpacking that thing.
Yes. It's
Um,
so important. You know.
yeah, it's about unpacking it. And then I was shattered to onward. This is why I wrote the book, because it was there's just so many misconceptions out there. And these things have kept people in a debilitating state,
Mm-hmm.
because you're reliving something over and over again, and you're not in a good place. Do you all realize that there are so many people that die from grief? And it could be, well, all of a sudden their nervous system kind of gets them wound up all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's got them so wound up that they start to have things that happen in their body. It doesn't take much,
No.
especially when you're in that state of panic. You have this thing where your nervous system is in fight or flight. I'll put it in simpler terms. Your nervous system is in fight or flight, and you're only meant to be in that for a short period of time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care who you are. You couldn't just get out here and run 100 miles, not unless you're really trained for it.
Yeah.
This is the same thing your body's going through when you stay in that state of perpetual grief. So let's put this in simpler terms. I'm going to talk about parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system and all that. This sympathetic nervous system is fight or flight. You're not meant to stay in it so long. And when you're into something that's so, well, you suffer from, right? Because you
Mm-hmm.
think about how bad it is. So I'm glad you're asking that question about hearing her music all the time. First thing that comes to mind is like, oh, this is something that can support and help somebody.
Mm-hmm.
When you think about that song Bruised, you think about Phoenix Rising Up.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the things that make all the difference. So yeah, man, I really try to put this because no matter what somebody goes through, if you're not fully aware, and can conceptualize what you're going through when you're going through it, you will suffer.
Mm.
And like I said, there are a lot of people that die from grief. And people think, well, he died from a broken heart. No, his nervous system caused his heart to break.
Mm.
His nervous system caused him to have a heart attack. That's what happened.
Yeah.
That's not pretty. That's not pretty this thing up.
Mm-hmm.
So don't mean to be raw about this, brother, but I
No,
wanted to talk about it because it's like there's this thing out here people don't really want to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's important to talk about it. It's like, we have this thing weekly. We talk about all the good and being a good steward in society, but sometimes we got to go back to the rawness, man. And it's like, and if anybody out here can look at this, it's like I'm a prime example of going from where I was to now. And that was one hell of a journey.
Mm.
Because, like I said, I walked by that mirror. I didn't know who the hell that person was. That wasn't Marvin.
Yeah.
That was somebody else. And I'm like, you know what? I made a decision. So that's simple, brother.
Yeah. It's well, I'm proud of you just for the fact that
Thank
you
you.
know, your smiles are frequent and your crying is frequent. Um your unanswered questions are just basically unanswered. What I'm getting at is that you smiled today, you cried today, and you have some unexplained, questions. You don't have the answer right now. And
Yep.
what I just like that because you're personally circling into all kinds of emotions, all kinds of trials, tribulations, and also all kinds of joys, right? And I'm glad. So it tells me that my friend, my family, my brother is doing what he's supposed to be doing, and I don't want you to be stagnant, you know, and I can honestly say you are not. I don't want you to be frozen. You definitely are not. And one thing that you had told me that the advice your wife gave you was to move forward, and you done that. Not just because she said that, but you realized it. She's right, you know, and you did it because she can be right 100 times over. Doesn't mean you got to follow her or you want to, but you just you did it, and I'm just happy to see who I am seeing, and you kind of reflect back to the tribute, the repass and Kristen, and where you was, and you were numb. You're not numb anymore. There's not one given day, one given night on this podcast that you're numb at all. Um, and uh, and I'm glad. I'm glad that you are able to do something for yourself, and also you're so motivated to do for others too, and that's every week.
Thank you, brother.
Mm.
I really appreciate that. And like I said, man, you have this. People don't understand. This is the thing that we talked about a lot. Grief sometimes is love with nowhere to go
Mm.
because you used to give it out to somebody. And so I get an opportunity to give this out to many in the masses. So in this version of love. So
Hmm.
um, that's where it's at, man.
Yeah. Well, I love you no matter what, and I
Love
truly,
you, brother.
truly, this is good.
Yeah, it's good
Um,
stuff.
so you're gonna announce something Thursday or Friday about the audio book,
Yeah,
and
I'm gonna put it on a post, and I'll also put it in I put it in TikTok as well.
Okay.
But I'll make a post and let people know the journey, and I'm here. I don't really post a lot anymore on Facebook,
Yeah,
but yeah, that'd be a good opportunity to get on there and share.
it's true. I'll produce these clips and then send them to you like we
Oh,
normally do. Um,
okay, please.
and this book is actually for a friend of mine, Andrea, and so I can't wait to get that to her. Paul Gomes, I don't know if you told me you got the book yet, but you should.
You said,
Can
can
you
you show me the book?
show the book again? Yeah, I'll do that again.
Um,
And the link I put in the comment section too.
okay.
So if you want to click on the link, Paul, you can. It should go directly to Amazon. It's in the comment section. Paul's um, he's a graduate of New Bedford Vocational High School.
Nice.
So I have to leave this book up for a little longer. Um, I'm only joking. I love my Voc Tech students and my friends that graduated from Voc. Got to get Paul Gomes into the Hall of Fame. Definitely got to get him.
Hey
Uh,
man, on in New Bedford, they have good fish houses.
Tons of them. There's
Okay.
some YouTube videos from I believe it's maybe PBS. I'm not sure, but it's called the Cod Father.
See, cod is kind of plain.
Oh, I don't like that. I don't like it. So and it's been around here, but I just want you to check out those videos, and it will show you.
You know what's good? Fish to fry is halibut.
Yep, they have that.
No, I'm
I've been
sorry, haddock.
haddock. All right.
Yes, yeah,
So
haddock. Oh yeah.
we've been the salmon I've been eating and trying to put that into my weekly routine at least twice a week. So
Yeah, because
um,
I don't eat a lot of chicken or beef anymore. I do mainly fish
yeah, yeah.
because
So
it doesn't feel so heavy when you start to digest it, and it
yeah.
doesn't put you to sleep like some other foods do.
My grandmother worked in the fish houses and for years, and so we had an abundance of seafood in the house. Um,
Cause she fillet it.
she done everything possible that you do to a fish. My grandmother could do it
Hmm.
since the age of 13. So she just definitely on point, and I miss her dearly. But I'm telling you, she's a good cook. Till this day, I still don't. No one tops her other than other than my wife. You know.
I was about to say, man, you better
No,
throw some
I
kudos
and
that way, my brother.
that's the truth. I put my grandma number two, but when it came to her cooking,
Hmm.
man, it was just on point, perfectly done for me. Um, and that's why I, you know, when we talk about holidays and visiting and going here or there. Um, and if I have a choice, is to stay home, eat eat my wife's cooking. I stay right home. It's just nothing to it, and then the kids add to it because they become, you know, taught by her or and add a little twist to it. So there's one thing about my little circle, man. Comes to food, and they do it up, and
No, right
you'll
here.
definitely get a taste of it.
Yeah, I can't wait, brother.
All
So,
right.
all right, next week I'll send you some audio versions of the book, and we'll chit chat on that. There's somebody I'm trying to get on the show, but we'll see what we can do.
Okay. Um, So I'll add this to Substack. I'll add the clips on social media, and we'll go from there. I have a Zoom meeting with some of the creative network group for TikTok, so I'll get back to you about that.
Okay.
And we're just trying to do some great things.
Appreciate that.
Yeah,
Much love to you, my brother. Always got a lot of love for you, man.
Paul says everyone has jokes. Paul, guess what? We can't joke about your school anymore because your school has become the cream of the crop. It's not like the 70s and when we grew up and talking about you guys because that school is definitely not like that anymore. And it hasn't been like that for decades now. So I'm sorry, I don't want to offend you, you know. I don't want to offend my kids because they were students there and graduated there, two of
Oh
them.
wow.
So
Oh, wow.
I, I but yeah. All right, Marvin, you're the best.
All right,
You, you,
you're the better.
hey, you know, as long as we're together, man, we're gonna do all right.
That's
I
right.
will see you next week.
All right,
Um,
that's sweet,
I
brother.
got surgery this week, so
Oh, you do?
yeah, yeah, I
Oh, man.
gotta.
I hope you're gonna be okay.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'll be all right. And so Thursday and Friday, I'll be tomorrow morning. I'll be doing things. And so Paul Gomes, thank you.
Thank
Christine
you.
Rose, I appreciate
Thank,
you. Thank you for joining us. And every
thank you,
Wednesday we're
Michael, as
here.
always. Yeah,
Yep,
I
Michael.
appreciate
I know
everybody
you're out
joining.
there on YouTube. So
Do you want to say where we're at, where we're housed? We're on Spotify,
yep, we
YouTube, LinkedIn, Substack,
yep. LinkedIn.
and on
We're on
Facebook.
LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, two different channels. Sometimes you have to lose yourself channel, get on there, like and subscribe to it. I add to the Really Charlie podcast channel. I want to put it there. Um, Also, please like and subscribe. Substack. I download this podcast and I immediately put it on Substack. And I want to add it to Spotify because and iHeart. So I'm working on that now. And one of my managers is going to talk to me about getting it on TikTok also. So, but
Wow.
I'll know more about it tomorrow. So,
Okay.
all right.
All right.
All right, man. Take care. Have a great night and
You too.
enjoy that nice beachfront you showed me the other day, man. That looks nice.
I went down to Malibu. I was like, you know what? I'm walking today. I didn't really want to walk, but I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get my butt out there and I'm gonna walk. Just gonna
Mm,
walk for a couple miles on the beach. So I was like, okay, let's do it.
yeah, that's good. All right, man. I'll see you
All right, bro.
next week. You need
Yep.
anything, just text me, call me, whatever. All right.
Let me know how your surgery went.
I will. As soon as I get off that anesthesia and like Shanae says I crack jokes after I come out of it and so
Imagine that, right?
yeah, yeah. So all right, man. Take care.
Okay, brother. All right.
God bless. All right.
You too.